So my name is Jackie Ludema, and I have I've known I've known something was up with my heavy bleeding, with my inability to get pregnant. I've been It's been a very long road. I would say the first time I noticed something was wrong was in 2016. I wasn't planning on getting pregnant, but I got an IUD placed and experienced a ton of discomfort immediately. It was a bad experience to start. I thought it was going to be a nice, simple thing. I have stepchildren, and we were just not trying to get pregnant for a couple of years. We just needed a little bit more time, and I had been so tired of the pill, and I've tried the pill and the ring and the all these other different things. I just thought, for the next 2 years while we're not trying, I'm going to do an IUD, and I experienced pain immediately. It was pain, discomfort. Never really sat well. I went to the doctor a month later saying this doesn't feel right. They said, "Oh, just give it time." I experienced um, spotting throughout my cycle for months and months. It was a darker discharge than I've ever experienced before, and I thought it was very weird. And it was I was told again and again, just everything's fine. You just need to normalize on this thing. By mid 2018, I was in such severe pain during my cycle, especially towards the end. There were I was the it came down to a point where I was hunched over. I couldn't stand up, and I ran to the doctor. I said, "Please get this out of me." They even told me, "No, you came in here to get it inspected, not removed. You'd have to come back the next day." And I am in tears. And finally got that removed, and then was told, "Oh, you should be good to go." And it had, been a year and a half. I sucked it up. I dealt with this IUD, and it was coming closer to the time that we wanted to try to get pregnant. I'm going to go for it now. We're going to start a little bit early, and quickly realized that wasn't happening. We gave it through 2018. 2019, and nothing has no there was no nibbles whatsoever. We were trying and it wasn't working out. So I started wondering if something was up. At this time, I also was experiencing heavier bleeding than ever before. And it then 2020 happened. And I was just starting to go to my OB to see if something was up in my, with my fertility. And they did the regular screenings, and they told me, no, everything should be fine. I kept coming back and demanding that I be seen by somebody. It took all the way until the end of 2020. It was a little bit harder to see a doctor because of everyone was telling me not to go if it wasn't an emergency. Don't go to the doctor. That was, COVID protocol. So it took a whole year of that, and I finally got a OBGYN to recognize that something was going on. They figured out that I had a hydrosalpinx, which is my fallopian tube was inflamed, and for some reason they did not know why that happened, was inflamed, and it was causing a discharge through this inflammation. They said, well, the fallopian tube needs to go, and we're also going to investigate. And so January of 2021, I got my endometriosis diagnosis. They said that the endometriosis might have attacked my fallopian tube, and that's what caused the hydrosalpinx. So they removed my right fallopian tube, and they said they cleared up some endometriosis for me while they were in there. I felt great for about 3 or 4 months after that. I was told I should be good to go with with trying to get pregnant. No worries, just give yourself a couple of months to recover, and that should be good to go. So January 2021, I got my endometriosis diagnosis, and still nothing was happening fertility-wise. And I started getting heavy bleeding again. In 2021, or the January 2021, I felt great for about 3 to 4 months, but then my period started getting really, really heavy, and I started getting this pain on the right side of my body. I figured that was maybe a result of the fallopian tube being removed. I thought, maybe there's scar tissue over there, something's going on, but it was constant pain on my right side, and I would, if I worked out too hard, I would experience like a cramping on that side. I thought that maybe I had recently sustained an injury from cycling. I thought maybe it had something to do with that. So I went to physical therapy for 8 months, and still nothing was happening with my fertility journey. I've had a history of heavy periods my whole life. I talked to my OBGYN prior to 2016 about my heavy bleeding, if that could be slowed down, if there was any sort of, any sort of birth control that could help with that. But at the time of the IUD, I was not considered special in any way. They just went for it. So nobody did any research on my history before giving me that IUD, and then the intense pain. It felt like nobody at my regular OBGYN really cared to know why I was in so much pain throughout that 1.5 years, why it was uncomfortable the entire time. At one point, when I'm screaming to have it removed in 2018, they said, "Oh, well, you might have developed a little infection there." I said, "Well, how would that happen?" And they basically suggested that I was like possibly sleeping around, and that I caught an infection from something else. It was very cold-hearted. It was not a great experience. I did start after I had my fallopian tube removed,
Right.
and went through a year and still nothing had happened. I started going to Shady Grove Fertility, and I know they are absolute masters at getting people pregnant, but I definitely felt like they did not really listen to my health in the matter, and it resulted in a pretty awful story that I can tell you now. I made the choice in the beginning, or the very end of 2021, to go see Shady Grove Fertility, and they went through the regular fertility scans to see if it was possible. They said, yeah, it'd be possible, but you're operating with one fallopian tube, so we recommend IUI or IVF. There's the financial the financial burden of that. So we were prepping for that for the first half of 2022. And getting the go ahead for all of that. I at the time was starting to experience like extreme bleeding throughout my cycle. And my ultrasound techs, who were scanning me pretty regularly, had said, "Oh, we've been noticing fibroids in your," and they've said, "Well, those are probably going to have to come out in order for you to get pregnant." And they're my ultrasound techs. They were not the ones making the call for my treatment for fertility. But I got that more than once. I went to multiple. I went to the Baltimore office. I went to the Frederick office. Went to the Rockville office, and they told me, you probably are going to have to get these fibroids removed in order for your fertility to increase your chances of success. I'm trying to have a baby here. And in 2023, at the very beginning of 2023, I ended up in the hospital for extreme bleeding. I went to the ER. It was really uncomfortable. I was there for several hours to try to get me to slow down my bleeding, and I'm still in the process of getting approved for IVF and IUI, and I talk to my doctors at Shady Grove Fertility and say, can this happen if I'm experiencing this extreme bleeding? Like, is this a good call? And they just kept saying, no, you're fine. Like, we're not going to remove the fibroids. We're just going to try to get you pregnant. So April 2023, they do the egg retrieval, which is a whole process. The whole IVF process is very hard with the hormones. And then they do their first attempt with a fertilized embryo in the beginning of June, and it didn't work out. It was, really sad. Our first attempt was a fail, and that is when I started thinking, like, I've been told by these people that I've been told by these ultrasound techs that I need to get these removed. My doctor's saying, no, you don't need to get this removed. And I just, our first attempt, which we had all of our hopes in, that didn't work out. So after grieving the loss of that attempt, I went and talked to Dr. McCool, who said, oh, well, you have fibroids, obviously. You should probably get those removed. And I said, I'm still in this process with Shady Grove Fertility. They're telling me something different. Dr. McCool said, well, after your second attempt, if that doesn't work out, come back to me. We can easily remove these fibroids, and it's going to increase your chances of fertility after that. First, the second attempt took, which was great, and I was pregnant. And Dr. McCool had said that, we hope that this, if you do get pregnant, that you get to stay pregnant. I did, which was great, but at 12 weeks pregnant, I ended up in the hospital. I was experiencing fibroid degeneration. It's when my uterus was growing, the embryo was growing so big that my fibroids started really, the blood supply was getting cut off to my fibroids. And I had my baby, but I can tell you that that experience at 12 weeks was worse pain-wise than childbirth. I had to go through a week and a half of experiencing fibroid degeneration. I thought I had appendicitis. I was not allowed to take pain meds because I was pregnant, and it was excruciating. I went through a week and a half of unmedicated pain, constant pain, because I went forward with the advice of Shady Grove Fertility instead of listening to Dr. McCool. Terrifying, the idea, when that first happened, it was in the middle of the night. I thought I was losing my pregnancy. I thought this was a horror. It was terrifying. I sat in the ER. I couldn't even really sit down. It hurt so bad. Yeah. So, after that after that fibroid degeneration at 12 weeks, they told me that could happen spontaneously again throughout my pregnancy. So I lived in fear of that pain throughout the rest of my pregnancy. Thankfully, there were no more complications. I had my healthy baby girl, thank goodness. And but immediately afterwards, I called Dr. McCool. I said, let's get these things out of me. I never want that pain ever again. And it's fibroid degeneration. It could happen at any time, and a very good reason not to just sit on your fibroid pain, because it could get so much worse. That is something I'd like people to know, is it's fibroid degeneration is hell. And so when she was 3 months old, I went forward with the surgery with Dr. McCool. Reaching out to Dr. McCool before I got pregnant, I was I was in such a dark place with losing the first embryo. And you know, I was hearing it from my ultrasound techs. I was researching, you know, what do fibroids do in this situation? How do they affect fertility? And I'm originally from Rockville, Maryland, and so it was a place that I searched. And I found the Center for Innovative OBGYN Care, Dr. McCool, and I I don't know, I just felt like I had to speak with this person. I had to speak with Dr. McCool. He just seemed to know his stuff. And you know, researching uh the procedure, I had researched that procedure because it just seemed like it was more comprehensive. It understood he understood endometriosis and the role that it plays in all of this. And so yeah, I was mostly curious at that time. And then it was fantastic that the first consultation was maybe 15 minutes, but hadn't heard, I've never felt so heard by somebody who is looking at my situation before. He believed what I had to say. He was available for me to tell him that, you know, I was frustrated with Shady Grove Fertility. You know, he just he heard me, and it felt really, really great for the first time. And yeah, it was like 15 minutes with him, and the rest of my consultations, except for the surgery, have been over the phone, and it's like talking with a friend sometimes. It feels great. Um, and yeah, just knowing that surgery was available, um, you know, after the fibroid degeneration, it really solidified that I was going to get that done as soon as possible. And then, you know, after my pregnancy, just getting back on the phone, I just got back on the phone with him, and he said, yeah, we can do that. Let me check the schedule. I got a phone call saying, you know, July 16th is available. You want to come in? And made it work. So super duper easy to get signed up. Everybody on my care team was uh, organized and made sure that all of the boxes were checked, and then I was good to go. I did end up driving up to the facility in New Jersey to get it done because they wanted to make sure that you know, this was in network, and it was in network up there. So um, yeah, and then the day of surgery was easy. It was great. We got there early. I think Dr. McCool took the transport van up there with the rest of the people who were there. So we just waited for him to come around, and it was good to go. Recovery was pretty easy. I was up and walking um, the same day. I, you know, took it easy, but I also had a 3-month-old, so I had a little one that really wanted to be on me, and I was able to comfortably hold her, you know, 2 days afterwards, and you know, never had to disrupt my breastfeeding for too long. Um, you know, I think it was 24 hours after anesthesia, I had to not breastfeed, and then got right back to it. And recovery has been pretty smooth. There's a little bit of swelling afterwards I wasn't prepared for, but you know, that's gone down, and I feel really good right now. One of the best things is I don't have the pain on my right side. It was absolutely that fibroid that was on my right side. I am getting really excited to start running again. Before all of this fertility journey, I was a pretty active person, and I feel like I can get back to it. And um, one of the best things ever is Dr. McCool has said that this has really cleared me up for if I want to get pregnant again. And so he said, just give yourself 6 months after the surgery, and I should be good to go, and maybe I won't need IVF intervention. I could get pregnant naturally, and that. Yeah, I am so excited to. Um, it's I was doing triathlons before this, and I really enjoyed it, but I couldn't do that. When I had my fibroids. If I would run for too long, I would experience cramping and on my right side, and I would be kind of drained after my really heavy periods, which were all thanks to my fibroids. So now that they're gone, I feel like I'm so hopeful. I'm so hopeful I can get back into it. And then yeah, the chance to get pregnant again. Um, my 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 daughter is the best thing ever, and I'm so excited that she's here, but we want to do it again.
Yeah.
My advice is don't waste your time with if you get a sense that an OBGYN is not there for your personal care, like that they're not willing to hear who you are and your journey. I feel like I wasted so much time on OBGYNs that just didn't really care about me. It, my journey, my fertility journey started in 2018, and I just now have my baby. And I think I just kept giving a bunch of OBGYNs the benefit of the doubt that they knew better than I did, and trust yourself. Trust yourself. You know your body best, and don't settle for an OBGYN who's not willing to hear you.